Imagine finding the perfect career for your skill set. Then, after years of doing it so well, an injury forces you to step away.
My little brother was in Afghanistan with me. My dad served in the Air Force. My grandpa was a B-17 pilot in World War II. Just made sense. Kind of a patriotic family.
For some combat veterans like Kevin Flack, they find themselves coming home to a world they don't recognize, one that doesn't recognize or understand them anymore. The same skills that helped them to survive and accomplish their mission while serving now threatens to destroy them mentally and physically, labeled damaged and in some cases dangerous.
So I went to 3 months of inpatient treatment up there for combat, post-traumatic stress, TBI, and all that stuff. I was up at that medical center for 3 months. When I left, I call it the PTSD bundle. I had a bag of medications, right? Escitalopram, prazosin, clonazepam, hydrocodone, all those things, and it created this fog.
Determined to fight through that fog and find a way to build himself and others back up with exercise and excursions. On a new mission, you have to hear to fully understand.
You like being a protector, man. Your body and your mentality and who you are is just formed for high adrenaline type stuff. And our country needs that anyway. And it's okay to be a small percentage. It's okay to not be like everyone else.
I'm Gary Mativier. In this special edition of The Heart of the Story, we take you inside the world of a man who, on his way down a dangerous and dark path, found light, found hope, and has given it to others just like him, from soldiers to first responders. This is American Drive, combat vets' journey up and down range.
Kevin Flack, I'm the executive director of Downrange Excursions and owner of Downrange Supplements.
When you first decided to join the military, why did you decide to sign up?
I think it's something that everyone in my family's done. My little brother was in Afghanistan with me. My dad served in the Air Force. My grandpa was a B-17 pilot in World War II. Just made sense. Kind of a patriotic family.
And if there's one moment in particular that you felt really good about in your service to your country, is there one that stands out to you, a moment where you're like, this is kind of cool. I'm serving my country and I'm doing this thing here?
I think pinning down any one moment's kind of tough to do. I think, being overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan wasn't the best at times, but I think the training and the things that you do with your brothers leading up to that, the camaraderie and everything leading up to deployments are the moments that I enjoyed the most.
And as many veterans come home and deal with some issues from their service on the negative side of things, tell me about the event, if you will, that changed your life.
In terms of?
When the Ied Explosion?
Oh, there was a few of them. So when we were deployed in Hawija, Iraq, we were on a QRF mission. We were a QRF platoon. We got called out to recover Buffalo that was a part of a route clearance patrol. And it was on Denny Loop, which was out toward an anti-American village in Hawija. And as we were going through, we got nailed by a command det. I got hit by a 155 round with about 50 pounds of UBE. Knocked me unconscious for a little bit there. And that's what led to the TBI. That was the worst IED that smacked me. I remember coming to real quick, and I seen Doc Barker reaching through. I was like, there's supposed to be an up armor window there, and he was reaching through, grabbing me, and I'm like, that didn't make any sense to me at the time. But that was a brief moment, and it was pretty scary. But that was what led to the TBI part of things. But I think the majority of issues with reintegration from combat came from the actual prolonged periods of deployment, right? And having your head on a swivel 24/7.
And that's what most people don't understand, right? Not only the change of life that you experienced, but the crazy stuff that can happen at any second. You can lose a friend, you can lose people, and you come home thinking, wow, what's around every corner? And most civilians can't rationalize with that. They can't figure out how that affects you so much.
Yeah, your priorities are vastly different, right? So when you're forward deployed, and what a lot of people don't understand is combat PTSD is a parasympathetic nervous system issue, right? Fight or flight. So you're out, your head's on a swivel, your adrenaline's going. Maybe you get blown up. Maybe there's some shots fired here or there. Whatever the case may be, maybe not. But regardless, your adrenaline levels are up, right? Now your body is supposed to naturally reset from that. Okay, you don't get the chance to when you're out on patrol for sometimes maybe multiple days, right? And then if you do come back to base, maybe you get 4 hours rack time or 5 hours rack time, you're right back outside the wire again. So you never have that ability to naturally reset those adrenal levels, right? So it's kind of like a light switch getting stuck on in a short circuit. And that's what combat PTSD is with your parasympathetic nervous system. So when you come home, all that's frayed out. But now you're not out, you're not outside the wire. You're not engaging. You're not doing your job. You're not on mission, right? And that's what that's the external stimulus your body's become conditioned to, right? So then when you come home, you're not on a mission anymore. You don't have that external stimulus, but your adrenaline's stuck up here. And that's also where those down periods come from combat PTSD. So your body eventually has to naturally reset from that, right? So that's why a lot of veterans go through, big ups and downs and sways with the depression side of things. You have the mania side of it with combat PTSD. Then you have the depression side when your body forces you to reset. And I think the combat PTSD side, in terms of reintegration, is where most people have issues.
And you didn't understand all this when you first came home. So
no.
You obviously, like so many other veterans, ran into your own issues. Tell us a little bit about how that affected your life when you first came home.
So when I first got out of the military, my son was born out while I was in Afghanistan in 2010. He was born here in Bettendorf, Iowa. And I got out and I went back to school for psychology. And I was going to Scott Community College in Kaplan. And I got a job contracting as a family assistance specialist for the Illinois National Guard Bureau. I ran the Northwest region for a while. And my biggest issues were my priorities had completely changed. And the way I communicated, the way I reacted to other people. Good example, when I first got out of the service, I was in from 17 to 26 or 27. So most of my formidable years, right, is how I was taught to communicate, which is clear, concise, effectively to the point. You don't sugarcoat things. However, when I came out, went to the community college world or just the regular civilian world in general, that same forms of communication that I was praised for, right, in the military as an NCO, was torn down. I was crass. I was abrasive. I was too explosive. So after a period of time when you have 50 people a day calling you crazy, and in your head you're just trying to communicate something clearly and concise, right? Black and white.
Yeah.
Then eventually you start to think you're crazy. You feel like you're crazy. You feel like you're ostracized from the general public.
Social norms have changed.
Yeah, social norms have changed, exactly. And that was probably the toughest part for me. And that led into self-medication through drinking, right? So you're trying to reintegrate, and you don't know how to do it because nobody else understands what you're going through or what you've done, right? Or how you communicate or why. More importantly, that's that basic, right?
Yeah.
Like, this isn't you being crazy, me being crazy. It's as a veteran, right? It's not me trying to hurt anybody. It's not me having flashbacks from wartime. It's literally how I was taught to communicate or how I was taught to behave.
To survive.
To survive, but also communicate effectively to my subordinates or my superiors.
Yeah, get the job done.
Yeah, get the job done. Black and white, no sugarcoating, no BS. And then when you're pushed to the side and ostracized for those forms of communication and the way of being that was taught to you by your government, it's hard. It puts you down. So it puts a lot of individuals, myself included, in a position where you find yourself self-medicating. Then there's reckless behavior, right? It turns into that too, because now you're just like, you get to that mindset where you're like, oh, the hell with it, right? I'm gonna drink and drive. I'm gonna do this. I don't care anymore. It's like phases that you go through until you accept that things are never going to be the same again.
And you don't have that support group, right? You don't have the guy above you saying, hey, that's cool, you're doing what you need to do, or those around you doing the same thing. It's just you on this island now trying to survive back in this world where you seem not to fit anymore.
Yep, you have no one keeping you in check. You don't have a good, and my situation was a little bit worse because I didn't grow up out here. All my family's in the Pacific Northwest. So I was kind of like thrown to the wolves. Does that make sense? No support network. Just trying to do what, survive and move forward to be a parent and reintegrate with the tools that I was taught in the infantry. And most civilians, didn't serve in the infantry, so they don't understand my thought process, my communication style, or anything else. And again, those things led to poor decisions, self-medicating, everything else. But it also led me to the realization that, you can, number one, retrain the central nervous system to a certain extent, right? You can recondition it. But you can also mitigate these symptoms or engage yourself into activities that is more productive to you being able to get back into civilian society.
Yeah, and that brings me to, what was it that made you realize that whether it's working out or kayaking or doing something like that, that would be part of a healing process?
So in all honesty, that kind of goes back to a little bit of my time that I spent at the St. Cloud VA Medical Center up in Minnesota. So I went to 3 months of inpatient treatment up there for combat, post-traumatic stress, TBI, and all that stuff. I was up at that medical center for 3 months. When I left, I call it the PTSD bundle. I had a bag of medications, right? Escitalopram, prazosin, clonazepam, hydrocodone, all those things, and it created this fog and this degradation in quality of life that was exacerbating suicidal ideation and all these other issues. And that's what led me more so to get more into psychology and doing the stuff that I did to understand that, right? And I realized, number one, why am I taking medications like SSRI, serotonin reuptake inhibitors that are made to level out chemical imbalances? I get it, from their standpoint, checks and balances, symptom analyzing and treating.
Something to calm you down.
Yeah, antidepressant, whatever. But if you give somebody who has a central nervous system issue, right, like combat PTSD, a medication that's meant to level out chemical imbalances, you're going to create a chemical imbalance. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So again, you're gonna create an even worse situation where, although it keeps them within their guidelines, right? So I started doing a lot of the research, and I got rid of all those medications. I started getting into another exercise routine, just like back in my military days, right? First wake up, then you do first call, PT. Got myself back into a regimen. I realized that releasing natural endorphins through physical fitness and exercise had a huge impact, number one, on depression, right? Getting your blood flowing, just your overall energy levels, everything else. And then once I started engaging in my nutrition and taking fitness seriously, controlling my cortisol levels, all these other things through proper nutrition, I was able to mitigate PTSD symptoms and other issues from service without medications. The way that you're supposed to be doing it, let's be honest here, that's the way you're supposed to be doing it, is naturally. And there's plenty of tools to do it. And also the physical fitness side was part of that. And I went through a lot of stuff, with the court systems out here for my son. I had PTSD used against me, tactical training at every corner, right? Yep. Well, Kevin, you were in the infantry and you saw combat or whatever the case may be. What if you do this? What if this happens? I got drugged through that system. Your
liability now. These same skills that helped you be successful in the military are held against you.
You're good as long as you stay over there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Stay over there, you're good. But you can't be a parent now.
Right.
So that's what led to the outdoor part of things. So I grew up on Whidbey Island in Washington State. Grew up in the San Juans. And so I grew up kayaking, I grew up clamming, I grew up snowboarding and all that stuff. So while I was going through that portion of things, right, so I figured out the physical fitness side of things while I'm trying to, clear the air, get focused, wired in, fight the good fight. It was a whole other fight to me. Does that make sense? My head was like, all right, let's do this. We're back at it.
Let's go after this one.
Yeah, let's go after this one. Yep. I'm not going to lose. Not going to happen. So I started kayaking. So I'd go in, I'd put in Troy's Mills on the Wapsipinicon with my service dog, and I'd paddle for 126 miles down past the Massillon area. And we'd primitive camp. I'd grab a gallon jug and 550 it. I'd bring Frankie's chow in there. some tuna fish packets and stuff like that. But I'd trawl for the little tiny channel cat that are in there, man, and I'd eat those with Frank and kayak on different spots. And I'd be a lobster, bright red and peeled up and nasty and burly, but I felt great. It felt awesome. Everything, it was the best way to reset. So everything that I was going through in the civilian world, trying to reintegrate, trying to be a father, fighting to be a parent, all these other things, it was gone for a minute. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
I was focused on portaging that next dam, getting through this wildlife refuge, finding that next primitive campsite. The steps in front of me. I wasn't thinking about all the external stimulus that don't matter. And that's, I think, one of the big things that veterans have an issue with when they get out is their difference in priorities, right? You come out and now the majority of the civilian world wants to tell you how you need to act, how you need to be, who you are. And if you don't fit within that right and left limit, you're wrong. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
That you're not okay. It's not right. We're alpha males, man. You know, we're individuals that are driven. We're focused. We're not bad people. It's not a movie, man. You know what I mean? We're not. It's not. What's that darn thing? Full Metal Jacket. You know, we're not out there leading women and children or whatever the case. It's not like that. We're patriots. We're Americans. We're individuals that went downrange. Some of us may have or may not have seen combat, but regardless of whether you've seen or not seen combat, if you spend more than 8, 10, 12 years in the military, more likely than not, you're going to have readjustment disorder, which is another form of PTSD going into the civilian world. Just because of the structure and the self-sustaining environments and cities that your body's been in and been used to for so long. That's vastly different from the civilian community. So it's a matter of when you're trying to reintegrate, getting yourself engaged in activities that can help you mitigate the stress and the issues from trying to reintegrate. To be honest with you, I don't think you really have to say reintegrate. I don't think it is reintegrating.
Right.
I think it's just having tools to maintain now that you're not in the military anymore.
Right.
It's aftercare, man.
Finding your way, finding what fits you.
Because I'm not going to change who I am. I
Right.
love who I am, and that was one of the biggest problems I had when I was still when I first gotten out of the service. That led to the drinking. That led to other bad choices that I had made in that period. Right, because I was struggling and going through things up in my mind. Is because I felt out of place now, and I was allowing everyone else telling me that I'm not okay to convince me that I'm not okay.
Right.
When in actuality, I was just fine. I just needed to stay focused on something and maintain what I was doing. I was trying to make everyone else happy. I was trying to fix myself in what they wanted me to be.
Well, that's our
what
world,
the community wanted me.
If you don't fit in something, the pressure's on you to change who you are.
Yep. And I think all of us, or the majority, and there's good and bad no matter where you go.
Yep.
Law enforcement, military, most of the politicians, but but there's good and bad no matter where you go. But I think the majority of veterans, the majority of first responders are patriots, man. You may not like how direct we are. You may not like how driven we are, how outspoken we are. You may not like those things. But you shouldn't change. We shouldn't change that for anybody. And we respect the fact that you don't like it. That's what makes America America, right?
Yep.
You can get a jab in your arm. You can wear a mask on your face, and that's okay. You can wear MOP level 4 for all you want to, looking like Darth Vader walking around. It's America. That's what makes it great. But you can't tell me, as long as I'm not hurting anybody and I'm morally and ethically sound, you shouldn't be telling me that because I've come back from war and I've been taught to communicate this way or behave in this manner, that I'm wrong. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
So I think that's what led to downrange excursions and the nonprofit stuff, is providing that outlet and that tool.
That's what I was going to turn to next. So you took your adventures and what you felt as a source of healing and grounding for you and a way for you, a path forward to happiness again, to feeling good about yourself physically and mentally, and you decided that you're going to help other vets with that. And some of the stuff you're doing is pretty cool. Tell us about some of the programs, if you will. I don't even know if you call them programs. What do you call what you do?
So basically, what I consider downrange excursions is we provide tools to allow active duty military, veterans, or first responders to have a break and maintain, right? Like I said, it's not about changing who you are. It's about getting guys away from self-medicating or those things that can be detrimental to them being productive in the community, productive fathers, because they live a different lifestyle in terms of the jobs that they engage with on a day-to-day basis. So your body and your mind is going to be trained different than the majority of society. So that's where downrange excursions comes in, right? They provide those tools to mitigate those issues to keep you away from self-medication.
So what kind of stuff? Kayaking?
Kayaking, rock climbing, hiking, camping. Just like, so a good example. In the infantry, we used to go on field training exercises and stuff like that. 2 weeks out in the field, whatever the case may be. Kind of like a camping trip, but with guns and blowing stuff up and entering and clearing rooms, right? With the guys. Those were typically fun. I mean, yeah, you got dirty and muddy and you embrace the suck a little bit, but when you get out, you miss that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. So that's kind of like what we do with the excursions. We're giving these individuals the chance to get together on a platform they're all comfortable with, outdoor excursions, activities, away from the regular community, right? To engage and mitigate all those service-related issues on a natural platform.
Physical and mental.
Physical and mental. So, and that's one of the things. Now, most of the Anytime Fitnesses recently closed down around the Quad Cities, after the COVID stuff. But we're working on a partnership with TBK right now. James Stout is our board president, to get memberships up there. We're still partnering with like the Anytime Fitness North Liberty, Dubuque. Well, North Liberty closed down. Dubuque, Coralville, Tony Burrier and those guys up there. So we help provide gym memberships too for the physical fitness side, for veterans and first responders, because that's the biggest part is helping to again, it's acceptance and accountability, right? So you accept the fact that you're no longer, regardless of whether you're a first responder or a combat veteran, you're no longer going to be like the majority of the rest of the community and society. They're not going to understand what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. They're not. You got to accept that. They're not going to understand your mentality and what you're doing and the way you communicate. And you also have to accept the fact that more likely than not, you're going to have some issues from what you do because of the job you decided to take.
Yeah.
Anxiety, depression, because your body's being retrained that way, right?
Sure.
That's how you survive. But then when you're not, that's why the suicide rate's so high with law enforcement too. That's why we wanted to bring downrange excursions to the first responder community. They're doing the same thing, but on the civilian side, but they're out there every single day with their head on a swivel. So that's that hypervigilance part, right? And that's what causes readjustment disorder and combat post-traumatic stress disorder.
So this Alaska trip you're planning sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So Willie in Broward, we got in touch with him through Kevin Smitty Smith, who owns Smitty's Beard Sauce, another combat vet, great entrepreneur, phenomenal individual. And William had just retired from the Coast Guard and purchased Cranberry Creek Lodge up on Raspberry Island in the Kodiak Island chain in Alaska. So we had a discussion, we want to continue as we move forward to provide trips and excursions more on an annual basis. We're still going to do local stuff here and there, but the main goal is to provide trips and excursions that create memories for individuals and give them a real break, from, whether they're on the beat every day with the PD, whether they're active duty military, or whether they're struggling to get back into the civilian community, right? Or find an outlet to keep them occupied in natural means to keep them away from self-medication, while they're out. So with that being said, we want to kick off that with the Alaska trip next year, at the end of August next year, the last week of August. So it'll be Cranberry Creek Lodge. We'll provide. It'll be deep sea halibut fishing provided. We'll have kayaking provided on the island. All the food will be provided. Transportation will be provided. Silver salmon fishing on the island. We'll also probably do a nice little 2,000-foot climb into the Alpines for some blacktail hunting. And that's to give guys a trip that's really going to hit home with them, a chance for them to really disengage from their daily lives and stressors and issues they may be having, back here at home, and a chance to create something that's really going to stay with them and keep them enlightened for a long period of time. And we're still, looking for donations and sponsors for that trip too, and you can do that stuff on the website at downrangeexcursions.org.
Well, I was going to ask you about that too, because I think it's unique how you do your nonprofit, because so many nonprofits have to go out and ask for money all the time and spend so much of their time raising money like that, and then sometimes they come with strings attached to it, whatever. You guys came up with kind of a cool system to finance what you're doing to help others in this unique way. Tell us how that works.
Yeah, so the first couple of years of Downrange Excursions, we did fundraising the traditional way. Car dealers, mortgage brokers, real estate companies, stuff like that. What you run into, the issue with that can, and we did good, but the issue with that can be is a lot of these companies, they want to be able to say, hey, look who we're helping, come buy a car from me, come get a loan from me. And that's completely okay. That's their right. They're putting money towards something. Yeah. However, when a lot of people don't understand really what we do with the excursion side. They might look at it like a bunch of people just having fun, and it doesn't help them sell a house or help them sell a car when you have veterans staying healthy. And I know that sounds weird, but it doesn't for them. It doesn't sell for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
When you have guys in the gym and releasing natural endorphins and guys going kayaking or engaging in these things that a lot of these other individuals do for fun. This is the natural way for them to mitigate their issues. But you can't really explain that in a marketing or sales sense to a larger corporation or company that's donating to your nonprofit, right? And they want to have a say. So we wanted to get away from that. So our way to get away from that, so our mission didn't become convoluted and we can affect our mission in the way we thought would best serve the individuals that we want to help, is to create our own means of funding. So we did that through Downrange Supplements, which is a supplement company we created. So I linked up initially with Adam Neely here at Optimal Nutrition, home of Downrange Supplements. He formulates all of our product. I mean, he's absolutely been a huge supporter of the military demographic for, I've known him for probably 4 years now, coming on 5. He was working with a nonprofit before supplements was a twinkle in our eye. He'd do free body comps for the guys, help them out with supplements, samples, doing stuff like that all the time. So anyway, him and I got together, he formulated our product. We decided we wanted to create a brand because there's veteran-owned supplement companies out there, but there wasn't really a brand that was formulated and marketable to everybody from the administrative personnel to the 18 Bravo Special Forces Weapons Sergeant. We wanted to create a brand that legitimately represented the military and first responder community with high quality supplements that didn't cut any corners, and that's really what we've started to accomplish. And as we build this model, the whole goal being, the whole reason we started it, is to generate unrestricted revenue for downrange excursions, right? And we're getting there. Slowly but surely, we're getting there. The model's growing. We're working with former SEAC, retired John Wayne Troxel now. He's helping really push to bring that to the military community. Colton Smith, active duty Ranger, Sapper, pro UFC fighter. We do a lot of stuff with Pat Miletich. He's been really helping us bring downrange supplements to his community. And he's been helping us a ton with the nonprofit, with downrange excursions. And that's really, where the downrange supplements piece comes into play, because, we're able to, number one, it coincides with the fitness side of things, right, for the excursions. Proper supplementation. We're not going to get into any supplements that are on the edge. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We'll do more natural-based proteins. We'll do your basic pre-workouts, essential amino acids, but all high-quality stuff that's going to be conducive to mission effectiveness for troops in the field, or physical fitness and effectiveness for individuals and veterans or first responders in their everyday lives. And that's really what we strive for with the supplementation side of things.
And I just saw, without naming names, you have first responders come in here into your shop.
Yep.
and kind of part of what you're doing. So it's not just about buying product, it's about supporting this overall mission to give back to others too, like them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really what we've done too with the shop here, between myself, Wade Whiting, who we just brought on board as a co-owner. That's his service dog's bed, India. So we actually met getting our dogs trained at Pause and Effect, getting our service dogs trained. And he's got a TBI. He's a former infantry guy with 172nd. He's a co-owner now. But between him, myself, and Adam, and Peter Shalacy is one of our co-owners too. He owns Atomic Coffee. So he's been helping us grow the business. But between Adam and Wade and I, really here at the shop, we wanted to create an environment that's comfortable for combat veterans. You'll see squad cars pull up all the time from DPD in Scott County, and they just come in here because it's a break for them. Whether they'll grab a protein snack, whatever the case may be, an energy drink, get back on the beat. They can come in here, they can talk about whatever's going on. And that's been the model of our shop down here, where we're growing downrange supplements out of. And we have, full retail of other brands, but downrange supplements, this is where we're growing our brand out of, with the end goal being is Adam and Wade and I want to have this eventually sold and have a headquarters building, here in Davenport area, where we wholesale the product out of on a larger scale. We have a gym, our own gym, that's free for combat veterans and first responders. We want our own facility where, we don't have to be partnered with another facility. These guys can come in, use the facility whenever they need to exercise their demons, or just stay engaged. You know what I mean? Stay healthy, stay fit,
with
stay active.
like-minded people going through the same stuff.
Yep, and then James will be running our nonprofit Downrange Excursions out of there too. But we want it in a nice big building where it's kind of all in one. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So, right now we're running the nonprofit out of here. We run Downrange Subs out of here. and all that stuff. And it's been amazing, man, and it's awesome. But that's what we're all working toward with Adam and Wade and I is getting it to that next level. So we're really setting a standard to where we're funding our own nonprofit. We're funding our own means and ability to give back the way we want to. Because Wade and I, especially don't have any skin in the game in terms of needing financial compensation for what we're doing. We're both service connected. We both have disability pensions from our time in service. And we're doing this, we choose to do this because we love to do it. And we want to create something that legitimately represents the military and first responder community. And it allows us to fund and give back in the way that these guys and gals are going to have memories. They're going to enjoy it. They're going to be proud to be a part of it. It gives them a new mission outside of what they're doing day to day. It gives them that break. Does that make sense?
And for you, what do you get out of this at the end of the day? I mean, what's this bringing into your life to see the looks on these guys' faces when they realize they're not alone out there and there's a resource that you're helping provide now to make life a little bit better?
Yeah, that's really where I obtain the joy out of all this. Number one, I love lifting weights and I love being outside, right? So number one, I love that piece of it. And now I'm able to be around like-minded individuals that are doing that same thing. But it's coming in here and it's those guys and those gals that remember the time that they spent here. It's when you see that smile and that look on their face when you're just talking to them about the same types of things that they like and they realize that they're not the only ones out there that have that same mentality. You can see the reprieve in them. Does that make sense? It's like a break for them. They come, oh, you do care. Oh, you do think the same way I think. Oh, you do appreciate what I do. Well, thank you. And that's really where, that's what I get out of it. And I actually get in trouble a lot with Wade and Adam, and because there's still a business model in place, right? So I have a tendency to give away a lot of free T-shirts and shakers because it makes them happy, man. It makes them happy. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they come in, they start talking, whether it's they're talking about their time in service before they join the PD or, what they're doing now, people that come over from 1st Army, ASC, or the Guard units or the Reserve units, or the recruiters. I mean, the recruiters practically live down here from 53rd. But, you give them a shaker, you give them a shirt here, and they're wearing their cool continually improving your fighting, and they love it, man. So, yeah, it makes me happy to see those individuals happy.
And you see them, I'm sure you do, when you're talking to them, and their eyes change when they make that connection with you, and the shields got to go down a little bit because they put up these shields to protect themselves, yeah. Right? And then when you're able to lower those shields a little bit and connect with them, that has to feel really cool for you.
Absolutely, man. They come in here, we got Jocko or Free Range American or Drinking Bros podcast playing. We got fully automatic Nerf guns that we're engaging with and just having a good time and living life. So we run a business. We're extremely professional in what we do. We work 16 plus hours a day. I wake up earlier and go to bed later than everybody. But if you think that I'm going to live within the restraints and norms that almost made me take my own life when I got out, you're crazy. That's where I found the freedom that I found, is bringing these other like-minded individuals together and showing them it's okay to not be okay, in terms of the sense that it's okay to not be the same as everybody else. It's okay to have these experiences or enjoy being a veteran or enjoy serving in the military, enjoy being law enforcement. It doesn't mean we like to shoot people or we're going out to hurt people. You like being a protector, man. Your body and your mentality and who you are is just formed for high adrenaline type stuff. And our country needs that anyway. And it's okay to be a small percentage. It's okay to not be like everyone else. And that's what we love here. That's our spot.
And we want to give a shout out to our sponsors helping us give a platform to people like this, inspiring others. Peterson Plumbing and Heating and Blackhawk Bank and Trust. We have many more stories just like this on our podcast and our YouTube channel right now. This is The Heart of the Story with Gary Mativier.